Warglaives. That's the way Preach always says it.
I know he can't say war.
He's from Manchester. We'll forgive him. Warglaives, Shadowmourne, ATS, the Whirlwind Axe, Classic Warlock Demon Quests, Green Fire. Some of the most...
All of these things are chosen to make the perfect RPG.
When they come together, they form Voltron to make a fun game. WoW forgot how to do that. Which is why...
I'm a soldier with a gun rather
Which
than...
is why class fantasy is so important, because if you don't have class fantasy, suddenly ranged DPS is just ranged DPS.
Exactly.
What has the best class fantasies factoring in power, usefulness, as in like utility? I think coolness has to be a factor, like to some extent. Well, player popularity and coolness are separate, because sometimes the community is stupid.
It's like, yeah.
Blood elves, am I right? Should we just go left to right then?
Yeah, might as well.
Okay, warrior. That's the first one. Warrior is cool.
It is.
But it's also probably one of the most, I don't want to say the most bland character fantasies out of everything that's available to you.
Dude, it's the only one that truly exists.
What do you mean?
I mean, everything else has a really heavy fantasy moment into it. Even the hunter like has an animal that if it isn't domesticated, basically following you around and doing things that just really...
I'm going to give you my hot take. They weakened the class fantasy of warrior when they let blood elves be them. Because before that, like there was something to that. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
like,
not everything could be a warrior.
Yeah.
Because a blood elf warrior doesn't really technically make sense because they need magic of some kind.
Okay, well then are the classes that can automatically be any race in WoW just a little bit worse?
I guess so. Look, there's nothing special about it. You know, it's the common.
It's less special.
Yeah, it's like the white class essentially. You know, like, and what I mean by like gray item, white item, tier, uncommon tier, rare tier, epic tier, legendary.
It's a good thing you weren't talking about the white class as in like...
Yeah, I guess it's a good thing we did explain that.
Jesus.
I wonder what my neighbors think if they hear just like segments of it when we're recording these.
Some of the coolest characters, like Varian is a warrior. Who's cool warriors?
Yeah,
fucking Broxigar. Most people don't even know who Broxigar is, dude.
I know, that's such a like
Sarfang's brother.
I hate orcs.
He hates orcs.
I despise them. Filthy greenskins, you're good for nothing. But Broxigar is awesome as hell.
It's Sarfang's brother.
While I still don't care much for Sarfang, I respect the hell out of him.
Sarfang's pretty badass, dude.
Yeah, dude. Doesn't matter whether you like orcs or not. You respect Sarfang.
Okay, here's the problem with warriors. You remember Indiana Jones?
Yeah.
You remember the guy that comes out and spins the sword around?
Yeah, I know where this is going. This is not Harrison Ford needed taking a piss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes
that's to say that is the problem. And even in the books, that is the big problem for warriors. They're always getting killed very easily.
And in D&D, like it's one of the more generic options.
Yep. Unless you're a barbarian, but because you like have such a disbelief in certain magics, they just don't work on you as well.
Now, I will say, I just started leveling a warrior the other day, and I am having a lot of fun playing Fury Warrior.
Yeah, dude, it's just slapping things with a freaking big old stick with a metal.
Everything being like rage, though, like using two-handed weapons. All right, let's piss off the warriors. Where do we put them?
I think they go to the bottom, dude. Because when it comes down... When it comes to fantasy, we're talking about something that is extraordinary. And let's be honest, there's really nothing extraordinary about warriors except for maybe 1D.
Okay, hang on. I was going to say B tier, which is middle. Because even though they can't do all the flashy stuff that a lot of the other classes can, like Broxigar jumping into the fucking twisting nether.
1D, not enough.
Varian jumping off of the fucking airship, one-shotting the fucking Garathi world breaker, charging into the demon horde all by himself.
Yeah, but here's the problem. When the warrior does something awesome, he usually what?
He gets a warrior's death.
Yeah, death, right. Put him in the D.
Damn. Bro.
I know it hurts.
They have to be C tier at least based on just badassness alone. You know what? Maybe that would be easier. What belongs in fucking D tier? You're going to say warriors are the lowest of the low.
I mean, when it comes down to the fantasy realm, yeah. Like, You're basically at the mercy of every magic.
All right. I think you know
I think
what?
a lot of people are smashing keyboards right now.
The Warriors are definitely thunderclapping them cheeks.
Yes.
They're thunderclapping them cheeks. Warlock.
So Warlocks are awesome, but here's the deal. I think they're going to have to go into C.
Warlocks are metal.
Allow me to make my case.
They enslave demons.
They do. A lot of these things are cool, but let's be honest, especially in the tick of like, unless we're talking about tabletops or anything, which we're not, we're specifically concentrating on World of Warcraft this time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as aesthetically pleasing. If you're playing Affliction Lock, it's dotting and running. You know, if it comes down to demonology,
dot-based class.
When it comes down to demonology, it's not as easy to play as the others because it's not as like, oh, stack this, do this. You know, that makes sense as to where it's more like playing Zoo. Zoo's not something everyone knows how to do. You know,
it does look very cool nowadays, though. Seeing them
it
run
does
around
look
with...
sick, dude. I'm playing a demo right now.
Okay, time out.
I love it.
They're one of the only classes in the game that can do something like dropping an infernal into an area and letting it terrorize the area.
Yeah. Just release it and catch and release.
Them losing their demon quests, that fucking hurt the class fantasy a lot.
Yeah.
Green Fire was pretty sick to be able to get there like anything that gets
okay, well, yeah, but you know that belongs to those demon hunters. Like that belongs.
Oh no, you're talking about Metamorphosis.
Oh yeah.
There are a lot of people out there that are very salty about that to this day.
Yeah, that's because they play Warlock.
I'm going to be honest, Warlocks. Metamorphosis existed way before Warlock. Have you done the Warlock Order Hall stuff at all?
Not yet.
I'll bet you that's sick.
I bet it is. And the Chaos Steed looks awesome.
Oh yeah, dude. Their mounts are always fucking.
Yeah, dude. And I mean, they've always had cool mounts.
And they've had a mount like for a long time, so that's pretty cool.
Their first mount has always been pretty much free.
Yeah, which honestly I hated as a kid.
Oh yeah.
I had a friend that he always played the classes that got free mounts, and I was like, this is not a coincidence that every class
he played Paladin and Warlock back in the day.
Every class he picked was fucking free mounts. I got another thing about Warlocks that makes them go down in the tier list, if you ask me.
Makes them go down. Interesting.
They
because
can't.
We haven't talked about destruction yet, and they have the most
Well,
utility.
that's my problem, and that sort of goes to a larger point for a lot of these for several of the classes. They can't do anything besides DPS, which is fine, but it means that the specs like are kind of like.
If we're gonna do that, just go ahead and throw Druid in the S rank.
No.
Like, no, skip all that shit. Just put Druid because they're the most spoiled.
Well, as for spoiled,
as for specializations, they are so spoiled. They fill every role in every capacity. They can be melee DPS. They can be range DPS. They can be the tank. They can be the healer.
But do they do any of it? But do they do any of it as well as any of their counterparts?
Dude, bear tanking is fine.
It's
Boom
not
Chicken
usually
is awesome. Now, Feral Kitty is really shit right now. But I'm
they
sure
are
it got
masters
better with the talent,
of none.
Maybe it is. I don't know.
Boom Chicken was definitely powerful in Shadowlands.
Dude, Boom Chicken has always been like a scourge.
Imagine.
Now, I'm glad that the fucking tree form is gone. That is outside of, not being a joke.
You don't like.
Somebody help me, I'm being robbed. I'll save you.
Tree powers activate.
Dude, I hate, that's one thing I hate about World of Warcraft. I hate unkillable healers.
Warlocks, though. My problem is when you have a class that can only DPS, every specialization needs to be.
Okay, but
no, you're honing too much. You're honing too much in on the fact that I'm not saying they're bad because
you're very biased about tanks, man.
No, I love tanking. I'm not saying a class is worse if it doesn't have a healer or a tank spec. When you are just a damage class, if your specs aren't vastly different, then they're almost pointless.
I say, yeah, that's a good point because it really now for between Demo and Affliction. Well, no, they're three space. See, Warlock is fine in that case because you're not doing the same thing on all three.
But you know what the problem
is more casting like a mage. Affliction is more of a strategic play, as where Demonology is more of a
but you know what happens with Hunter, Mage, Warlock. I'm trying to think of other ones.
If we're going to do that, I would say Mage needs to go down to the bottom rank now.
Well, no, and this is what I'm saying. Hunter, Mage, Warlock, Rogue, all the ones that just have a DPS spec, one of their specs, every tier every patch is complete dog shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they have to go down just a little bit for that.
Well, then put them in C rank.
Well, that's where you wanted to put them originally, I think. And I'm fine with that.
I'm gonna say, dude, but they're definitely not a D rank. Like they bring too much utility to the table. You know what I'm saying?
Warlocks do have a shit ton of utility, and utility is good in my book.
Soul stones. They have the best bring your party member here. They have cookies.
I think Warlocks should be B tier.
Unending breath. The curses, they can always adjust out to like if a tank hits, if a mob hits too hard, we've got Curse of Weakness.
I think Warlocks should be B tier.
They can fear.
I think you're only reinforcing that. I think they're at least B tier.
B tier then? I can live with B tier.
And I'm not even like I've never been a big Warlock guy, but yeah, I think that
they bring a lot to the table.
They do.
As utility Mage's 3 specs are all pretty much the same. You're doing the same thing. You're just changing the aesthetics. I mean, you might push them in a different combination, but and one might have more button presses than the other. But essentially, you're making Magic Bolt the woo.
Yeah, and Mage has always been one of the worst for having one a huge difference.
There is Frost Mage at least had the beauty of snaring and being more of a crowd control class. You know, as where Arcane was just really fast casting with Palm, and Fire Mage was just big.
Also, Drakthir coming into the game, Evokers, I think that weakens Mage even further because it's
because they're going to be the fun ones doing they're going to be more integrated with their abilities. There's going to be flying involved with some of these moves.
And Mage is kind of Mage is almost just like saying wizard, which is I think mages have to go D tier, dude.
I'm gonna have to agree too, because even look at their utility. Sure, you might be able to send someone to a capital city. That's good.
That's shit nowadays. That was good in classic.
It's pointless now. And on top of that, you provide a refreshment table,
which is largely worthless now. Exactly.
I mean, yeah, it's cool in arena with but the only person that gets use of it is the rogue. And let's face it, we'll get the rogue.
Dude, people don't even like CCs anymore because of Mythic Plus. You need to kill everything at once most of the time. Yeah. So
so the poly is pointless almost.
Yeah. A fucking druid completely negates polymorph. You're gonna talk about PvP.
Yeah. So even in PvP. And most people are rolling human or undead, so 2 trinkets.
Okay, let's think about it like this. Mages from lore. You got Jaina. You got
Khadgar.
Khadgar is cool.
Yeah,
he's not enough to save it though.
You got Medivh. Medivh is technically a mage.
Yeah, he was. He's like a guardian though, dude. He's so far outside of the realm of mage at that point.
Yeah, okay, that's later in life though. He starts out as a mage.
Yeah, but
and his dad was definitely a mage.
You almost never even see him as a mage.
Ronan
is badass.
Crassus
was kind of a mage. I guess he'd be an evoker now, basically, but
yeah, no, it was Crassus is technically an evoker, so no.
Okay, so mage is D tier. We couldn't
D-tier.
save it.
I agree with D tier, dude. Warlock had not only did it had the saving grace of good utility, but it was excellent utility.
And the problem on the point of there being a good spec and a shit one, it's always massively different. It's one is.
Yeah. Generally, Arcane is garbage,
which is lame because I always thought Arcane was one of the coolest.
The coolest, yeah. But once again, I'm also kind of remembering back. I know that it got good when they got Arcane Blast, and I don't know where it really is right now.
Mages have gotten watered down more and more
because, dude, you got to remember you're just generic spellcaster.
Well, I feel better for the warriors now.
Which is why, we need we'll be fixing a lot of this with next week's conversation.
Oh yes, that will be an interesting one. So if we piss you off,
I want you to really I really want you to
feel free to tell us if we're wrong down in the comments.
Yeah, I'd love to prove you wrong.
Okay, the priest.
Okay,
this is the first class I leveled to max, but
I think they got to go A.
A tier.
A tier. Hear me out. Here's why. They have 3 specs and 2 of them are basically healing, but they are significantly different from each other.
Discipline healing is one of the coolest, but Evoker weakens discipline. It is the people. You remember how we said a second ago?
Okay, yeah, I agree.
Warlocks were upset when they lost Metamorphosis
Yeah.
Disc priests are upset that evokers are getting a lot of their shit, basically.
Oh, like power infusion and whatnot.
No, power infusion is still a priest thing, but
Okay, well, like I'm gonna be honest, that's the big one.
the Drakthir healing spec kind of plays the way a disc priest was set up to play.
I'm gonna say that's fine, dude, because
It just weakens it a little bit, but it is.
Holy is such a different play that I think it's okay.
And
You know?
Shadow is awesome.
Yeah, and Shadow is just a great DPS spec. You know, and it comes with the fear utility.
So
and mind
A tier,
control.
listen, I loved Priest, but Priest feels fairly generic as well.
With 3 unique specs?
No, that is a strength. It's a point to make it go further up. Who are cool priests?
Tyrande.
Okay.
The freaking Night Warrior.
Well, she should almost be her own class. The prophet.
Oh,
Velen. Velen is awesome.
Velen is awesome, yeah.
Like I said, man, I just feel like it's one of the more generic classes as far as the class fantasy goes. I think Paladin is like in Warcraft specifically, like they've said that Paladins are just priests that wear plate and use like fucking melee, which hurts priests because, okay, so what do? They stand around in a fucking church all day. They don't have that many cool.
Okay, when it comes to that though, it's like, okay.
Anduin, takes them down a few points.
Yeah, I would say, well, no, Anduin's a paladin.
Well, now he's a paladin. Yeah, so he's bringing down the paladins.
Yeah, so here's what I'm going to say. Straight up, dude. Priests are like, I don't need metal. I don't need the world's protection. The light is my protection. And I'm going to be honest, that's pretty badass.
Shadow Priest is metal. I guess metal enough.
Dude. Yeah, dude. Like, they melt faces. Come on.
Oh, yeah. Mind control.
Gotta be, mind control. A tier, bro. Shadow word death.
Yeah.
If you do not kill it, I will punish you.
Oh, dude, no, the whole what is the lose yourself to madness, like you die, like, yeah. Okay.
A tier, bro.
Yeah, you convinced me. I'm down with that. Druids though.
S rank, just drop it in S rank. I don't even want to talk about them.
No, we can't.
Dude, they have to be S rank. Here's the deal. They're never bad. Blizzard never are they bad. They're always good tanks. They're always good healers, and they always have a good DPS spec.
The fact that they can do everything makes them less exciting to me.
Okay, that might make them less exciting, but all their specs are unique. They have the most customization in the game. What race you choose depends on what animal you get.
That's cool.
Like and like, for example, the druids for cool tier has a much different druid feel because it's more pagan than it is like
because of the Drusk.
Yeah, and it less Saloon, more wild magic, more the spirit of the wild, more of the beast. As a where, you get over to like say troll druids where it's more primal, it's more
turning into Stormcrow form is pretty badass.
Exactly. And as a where, Night Elf, the top tier, in my personal opinion, is the most enlightened, the most the natural, the child of the wild itself.
I think they're A tier at best.
Dude, I'm sorry. They got way too much to be A tier. Like, if they've
been given everything. No, they can't be the best.
That's part of the reason why they are S tier. I don't like the class. Like, I do not like Blizzard's version of Druid. I prefer the
Druids in Warcraft 3 are awesome. Our time is short.
They belong in S rank then. If you think they're that awesome, they really belong in S rank because there's not really any case to make that they belong in A tier.
No, I'm telling you, I think the fact that they can do everything and they don't do any of it.
They're the only ones that can do. Okay.
They don't do anything. No, there's several classes that can do everything. And I think that is a point against all of those classes.
No, not all classes can do everything.
Several classes can do everything.
They can fulfill when it comes to DPS.
We're talking the Holy Trinity.
Okay,
yes, they get a ranged and a melee DPS. I understand your point.
That's the only way to have it all covered, man. I'm telling you. They're the only ones that cover all those bases.
If there's a kid on the block that has everything,
yes,
you're saying that kid is S tier, No.
Dude, you're dealing with an S tier place, and you got to deal with them like they're S tier. If you don't put them in S tier, you're underestimating them, and that's why you'll lose to them.
What else goes in S tier?
Demon Hunter.
Yeah, exactly. No.
Yeah, I know. I know. They don't go S tier. I know.
I don't want to put my class in S tier either, even though I want to.
Dude, I'm telling you, they have to go up there.
But what else goes in S tier?
We'll get there. Like, we got other classes to go through. Let's deal with them as we come.
Let's see where
this is like a game. Let's see where the pieces land.
I want to put them in A tier.
You got to make a case that convinces me A tier then.
You haven't convinced me that they're S tier.
I feel like I've given you more than sufficient to be S tier. There is nothing super negative about them.
Some of the points that you call make them S tier, I would call a point against them.
That's to your personal opinion, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is literally you saying, I don't want to put them S tier because I don't like them enough.
That's not it.
The point, what makes them here is they have a huge player base.
I truly think that for me, it is the jack of all trades, master of none. They pay the hybrid tax. Like, for some reason.
But the problem is Blizzard doesn't really make
For some reason,
tax.
Boom Chicken was good through all of Shadowlands. It's because of Convoke. Convoke was just broken the whole time. But dude, I'm telling you, like, Bear Tank is good when people are figuring out how to play the game, and then once you know the boss fight's better, there's a better tank to play. Like, Resto Druid is always good.
It doesn't mean you can't beat it with the Druid.
Resto Druid is always good in PvP and PvE. They're great flag carriers. But dude, everything that they do, there's a class that accomplishes it better.
They were also the first class with a battle res. Granted, none of them ever carried the fucking seed, but like,
that's reagents in general, bro.
Yeah, no. Paladin's always had symbols of divinity, dude.
Malfurion is badass.
Yeah, he's right. When he's awake.
That's the problem with all druids. Or maybe that's the point. I think that's kind of funny that
I don't know, man. I think Malfurion skates the line of eco-terrorist, but
I mean, all druids are kind of like eco-terrorists.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, the dream is a world without living creatures in it other than plants. So keep an eye on those.
But that's to that point. Like, if you're gonna bring up like lore and stuff, like the druids, like
they're one of the most important.
Malfurion is way cooler in the books than he is in the game. Like,
yeah. He's very pointless in the game.
He was way more relevant back in the day. The druids don't do much nowadays. They sit around.
I mean, that's what they do. They watch the plants grow. At least, I mean, that is the walk. Like, so even better case for them because they stick to the role.
Okay, fine. We'll put them in S tier. But I'm just telling you.
You don't like it. I get it, man. I don't like it either. But it's just the way it is.
No, Druid is cool. I like playing my Druid. But I just, like I said, I feel like having everything is not something that is...
Dude, I mean, like, when I think S tier, they have to be able to accomplish all goals, and they need to be, like, valid for accomplishing the goal. And in a lot of cases, they're valid no matter what they choose. You know,
if you could only pick
there might be a better tank than them.
If you could only pick one class to be S tier, you're saying Druid would be it.
If I could only pick one?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to find out, dude. Like, we still have buttons to go through.
I think I know which one I would make S tier, but like, if it wasn't that, it would probably be Druid, just looking at everything else.
Okay.
Rogue.
Now, this is a tough one. Because Rogue is like, okay, you're doing the same thing all three. Well, okay, minus the new Outlaw spec. Outlaw is basically more of a mid-short range.
They've got a grappling hook.
Yeah, and like it increases mobility, but essentially we're still kind of doing the same thing.
I think Rogue is a solid C tier.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that. Like, I'm gonna have to agree. Like, there's not like sure.
And you know why part of that is?
Why?
This is something that limits rogues from going higher up. The people that play rogues as their turbo main.
Their community, the mindset that comes from the rogue player is just, I mean, it's a...
earlier today when we were talking about this, he said this was a bad idea. I'm starting to think he was right. He being you.
I was like, dude, I'm just saying, community can get real jaded.
Is
real
anybody
quick.
but Druids happy with us right now?
And we both expressed that we don't like you.
No,
Well,
you're right. Even they're not happy with us.
Yeah, it's like they're not happy. They're like, well, they don't like us. It's like, yeah, because y'all ask for more shit than anybody else.
I think that Rogue, like largely, like even outside of WoW, Rogue is like, it shouldn't be a boring class.
Dude, it's
But-
not. In tabletops, it is one of the most fun things you
They
can do.
are utility.
In Skyrim VR, some of the most fun I've had is being a sneaky fuck.
I'm gonna be honest. In video games, when I have the option to approach things from multiple ways, like stealth is like always my least favorite
Dude,
approach.
I mean, like, it's one of your favorite parts of the Batman Arkham games, right? Is doing the Predator
Batman
mode.
is different.
But Batman is essentially a rogue that can tank. Like,
That's the thing he would be closest to.
yeah. He's that, like, that is the thing he would be. If Batman's in this universe, he's a rogue and he can take a Loa.
Okay.
Valera probably wants to suck his dick.
In the context of things outside of WoW,
hmm
Ranger, which is like what WoW calls Hunter, like this was always my favorite class fantasy in D&D. Not just because of the pets, but like the fucking bow. It's like everybody Legolas was your favorite when you were a
Camouflage,
kid.
hiding, and
Fucking
patience,
like all their nature, like I was,
tracking.
yeah,
Like, yeah, dude, Hunter is fun. It's a great mindset. Like,
dude, the animal companion is fucking sick. Like you think about
Yeah.
like Rexar
Yeah.
and Misha.
Yeah.
I think Hunter is A tier or maybe B because
I can see B. I can see B. I can't
they've
see
got
A.
less utility than Warlocks.
They definitely have less utility than Warlock.
Everything has less utility than Warlocks,
And essentially outside of survival, well,
which
no,
is cool because dude, survival play is cool. It is so
For the
different.
longest time, it was a meme.
It was. You're absolutely
Like-
right about that.
And that's the problem. It's never consistently like it's just not consistent enough to be A, if you ask me.
You know what I hate? I hate that Beastmaster is kind of like the it's not that great. Like
Yeah, right now it's not. Yeah.
I think that
It
like
should be. That's your chance to be like Rexar, and I think they're missing some opportunity there.
I think it almost like ends up it's almost like it gets treated like a fucking like a tutorial class or something, and it's like it shouldn't be that. I feel like Beastmaster pays a tax in that it isn't allowed to be as good because you have a pet. Oh, funny enough, we have two of the pet classes are in the same tier basically.
Oh, yeah, no, that's it. I just now noticed that. Yeah.
Paladins.
If there's any other class that gets S tier, it's them.
They're definitely not S tier.
How are they not S tier? They can do all three roles, and they are good at all.
They can't be
three roles.
ranged
They
as
can't be
much as people
ranged.
as much as people want them
No, wait,
to be.
I know. Holy
No,
Paladin can be
Holy
ranged.
Shock is not a thing. It should people
Oh,
want
is
it to
not
be a thing.
anymore? I
People-
don't play Holy, so
People thought it was
Um,
going to be a thing, and then Blizzard just decided to go nope. Like then they fucked it.
Well, come
like,
on. Do you want a ranged plate where, like, when you get up to him, he's hard. He's tough as shit. Come on. Like, you can't do that.
I told you.
can't do
I
that.
told you. Like one of my favorite classes, Priest and Paladin are both weakened by the fact that they are essentially the same thing. I would knock them both.
That's only with Blizzard, though. In
I would.
every other reality, they are completely
Well,
different. And Paladins don't heal in most realities.
I would
Like-
knock, if it was just me, I would knock Priest and Paladin both down one tier because they both are kind of
Fine, then
homogenized.
put them in A tier because they at least deserve A tier.
Okay, I think that's fair because they
And
can't do.
And also look at the Paladins of Lore. Well, I can't say Uther anymore because
Yeah,
of what they did to
dude.
Shadowlands.
Who's the
and
coolest Paladin?
I hate Tyrion too, dude.
Well, you
hate-
fucking Terralian? Dude, Paladins just suck. Like,
Yeah, dude. Like, oh god, you know what? Let's not look at the lore. Leandrin, Lady Leandrin's awesome.
she
She's
is
cool.
badass. She is badass. Bolvar. Bolvar was sick before
Oh,
he
yeah.
was. Well, he
I
was.
thought I thought Bolvar was a warrior, though.
He was technically a paladin, but he was essentially
Oh, yeah,
a warrior.
No. Even in Hearthstone, he's a paladin. He's one of the legendary cards.
But no, you're right.
He's
Yeah,
a
he's
seat
essentially a warrior.
No, he's a seat warmer.
Dude, fucking, yeah. Bolvar dropped off so hard.
Yeah, let's stop looking at Paladins of Lore outside of Lady Leandra.
There has to no, yeah, okay, Lady Leandra.
Trolls.
This one will be interesting. I think this is one of the cooler, just fantasy speaking. I think shamans are badass.
I'm gonna have to agree with that. Shamans are pretty fucking cool.
Of the two nature magic users, well, they're like not nature, but like nature adjacent.
I mean, the element stuff is cool. And
I would like druids are cool. Shamans are like, I like their side of the magic, the primal stuff better.
Of the primal stuff, yeah. I mean, I'm partial to the druid side there.
I think they're both really cool, lore-wise, and like fantasy.
Druid in this class is the closest thing you get to an astromancer in this world. So
they can heal. So they can do two things.
I love shaman healing.
Enhancement and elemental play very differently.
Yes, enhancement is supposed to be pretty fucking...
But it's almost always garbage.
Actually, it's supposed to be pretty nasty. It always pretty bad. Well, like, and even in vanilla, like, you had to have, what was it?
Historically, it's been Garbo, though.
Oh, the name of that axe. I can't remember all of a sudden.
Kang the Decapitator.
No, not Kang the Decapitator. It was the one that increased spell damage. I can't remember its name all of a sudden. Nightfall.
So shamans, though.
So when it comes to them, they are like they bring. Man, I didn't think about that. We forgot about Mage's time. Yeah, and Mages have time warp.
That's true.
We might have to at least bump Mage up. Nah,
well, Hunters also have a bloodlust now, and I think Evokers are going to have it, so it devalues it.
Yeah, so there you go. So it devalues it. But dude, Wind Fury.
Wind Fury's not as good as it used to be.
It doesn't matter, dude. Wind Fury's fucking awesome.
Frost Shock.
Frost Shock. There you go. A tier. Easy. Frost Shock. And dude, you can spam the shit out of it now. Like even a Druid stays Frost Shock.
We were gonna put it in B tier, and then they cast Frost Shock, and now
and then put him in A tier, and then cast Frost Shock. Do you remember that video, dear viewer?
Bum 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 bum.
Storms. So not only am I doing crazy DPS,
I'm a switcher.
Death Knight. This.
All right, now this we both love this class.
It can't be S tier.
No, they can't.
But I think this is. I think this is
generally Unholy or Frost is more viable than the other one.
And this is part of what makes Warrior not as good. A Death Knight is Death Knight and Paladins are just cooler warriors.
Yes, they are. So where do they go?
I think Death Knight is A tier.
A tier. I need a bit of a case here.
One of their specs is and it's supposed to play very different now in Dragonflight, but they basically have a pet class in Unholy. Like,
okay, so we have a zoo type fight.
Fucking the Lich King is a fucking Death Knight. They have a tank class. It plays very different from other tank classes and always has.
Yeah, I'm still not a fan of it, but because
it's just unique though. It's unique.
It is unique.
Their class fantasy itself is the most metal in the game.
It is. And there are a lot of Death Knights. A lot of people seem to like Death Knight. And
dude, Wrath of the Lich King. Yeah, look at Wrath. Like, people love Wrath.
Yeah, okay, I can see that. Put him in A.
Okay, now, Monk is the class that I was going to say, if I wasn't going to say Druid was the only S tier. Monk can do all the things, and every Mistweaver plays completely different from every healer. Brewmaster plays completely different from every other tank. Windwalker is easy to pick up and learn to play, but mastering it requires
thought.
A high level of
strategy.
Like, it's very different. I know it came out in Pandaland. I know there are some people that don't like them using their fists. Like, there's a lot of people that are going to hate it because they just don't use a fucking weapon in the same way.
I'm going to be honest. I always felt like Monk should have the option to use fists. Like, I like my Monk using his hands.
Dude, I always thought in D&D, I thought unarmed fighting was one of the coolest things. But I love Kung Fu movies.
Yeah, dude.
I think Monk should be S tier.
I agree. I think you've got me there. I was leaning more towards a B tier, but I could definitely see S.
Their class fantasy is sick. Their fucking mount talks.
It is, dude. Like, yeah, I don't care about the mount talking. But
get Bon Lu and tell me you don't care about Bon Lu.
Oh, is it much further, Grandmaster?
Like,
I think that. Well, but I said that at the beginning because I do think that's important.
Okay, which I should have next week. We're a B tier.
They've only got 2 specs, which I don't understand to this day.
But both of our specs we do very well. Like we don't
They're-
play like other classes.
They're very cool class fantasy wise. They're fucking metal as shit.
Yeah.
If you were going to
I mean,
read,
Illidan, come on.
if you were going to read and or listen to Audible, you should sponsor us. Listen to any one WoW book, it should be Illidan. That book is awesome. I wish that there was if there should be a WoW book that goes into the depth for every class the way that Illidan talks about Demon Hunter, because that was awesome. I was so disappointed when I listened to the Arthas book and I didn't learn a single.
Let Mac ride them. Don't let Christy Golden ride them.
I didn't learn a goddamn thing about Death Knights.
Another Arthas wants to fuck his horse story.
You didn't learn a single goddamn thing about Death Knights when you listen to Arthas.
Yeah,
versus,
you just get him. He wants to he died which is a retcon of Invincible.
Dude,
it is.
In the Illidan book, you learn about the fucking way
how the demon hunters are made,
the way they consume their demon, why they have their tattoos, like they're all going crazy. They've got like a story that kind of mirrors like the fucking Spartans from Halo, and then half of them like just die from like trying to make the transformation in the first place. Illidan's secret army, fucking man.
But and then our class order hall armor shit. But the
the Demon Hunter armor is sick.
From the class hall?
I think so. If I'm remembering it correctly.
You aren't,
bro. You don't like that set?
Nah, dude. Ugh.
Why?
It doesn't look Demon Hunter to me. It just looks like Sasquatch with a green face hole.
Man, I think the problem is you don't play Vengeance, because one problem that I had when I started looking at Mogs for Demon Hunter is I'm like, man, I need more. I don't need more armor. You are
looking at the class hall armor, right?
Class hall armor sets. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, dude. Those shoulders are sick. I think that's cool armor.
Once again, you prove that all your taste is in your mouth.
You had to quote Father.
Hey, he had some good one-liners.
One problem I have with Demon Hunter.
Hey, Pepper Doodle.
Stinky boy. Honestly, I think their rotations are like, I think they've got more buttons now that they have revamped the talents, which is good, because Demon Hunter, it feels like
we have Spirit Bomb.
That's cool.
We have Spirit Bomb.
Yeah, but dude, you have to admit that the rotations were kind of like simplified to the point where it's like,
no. Original Demon Hunter was very fast paced, lot to do, lot to move, and they have simplified it down, which kind of makes you play.
Well, it's better now in Dragonflight. Like, I think it's going to be in a better place.
There's more thought that goes into it.
You have Chaos Nova now in Vengeance, and other things.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
But that feels good.
Yeah, but Spirit Bomb. I wish we could get that and fucking and have it.
I think Demon Hunter. You said B tier. I think that's probably pretty fair.
I would say it's B tier, and it's my favorite class. Like,
if I wish they would give them a third spec.
I know if we had a third spec, like, and it was like ranged magic, I think we could be A tier.
Okay, Evoker.
See, the thing is, no one really knows. Like,
you and I haven't watched like streams of people playing beta and alpha Dragonflight. We haven't played it ourselves yet, so we have to try it out for ourselves.
D tier, because no one knows. Could be good. Okay, but you know what? Just put them in B, because they're on the fence.
I like that their play style for the healer seems, it would be unique in that it seems like it plays like discipline, kind of.
All I'm saying is, if they get to fly around that way, as a Demon Hunter, I should get to fly around that way.
They do get Dragonflight. Like, that's pretty cool.
I should get that.
They're pretty metal, created by Deathwing, like in secret. That's pretty metal.
Yeah, it seems like secret super soldiers are the way to go in World of Warcraft. Death Knights, Demon Hunters.
They've only got 2 specs. They can only be one race. it's going to be really hard to judge them power-wise because you know they're going to be like...
They're broke. It's their expansion. They're gonna
Yeah,
be
exactly. They're going to be powerful the whole time
broke.
because Blizzard wants you to buy Dragonflight.
Yep. Which I'm glad because that's going to thin out some of the weaker demon hunters finally.
You know what honestly hurts them for me, and this is another point against Druid? I don't like classes or races that you're not allowed to see some of your armor. And it seems like Drakthir, their armor is going to be limited.
Like diaper gnomes.
Yeah. And kind of like Worgen in that their model is so like...
Stretched.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Headless Horseman helmet looks weird on him. Although it makes some of the headgear look awesome. Like the ones you get from Firelands, pretty sick.
I think we put Evokers in C tier. You think D? You think B tier because it's just middle and we don't know yet?
Actually, they're 2 specs and no one knows. C tier. I can agree with C tier.
No melee. It's all ranged.
Yeah, no melee, which is weird for dragon. You think a drag would be superior in a...
Well, they're not really dragons. They're kind of like, I'm a dragon. Like they're not. I'm a dragon.
Pyro.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, so there's the list. Huh. That's not at all how I thought I'd like it. It's actually pretty. That's a lot more even than I thought it would be.
Things that are interesting. The 2 faction specific classes are
From
both in the same
original
tier.
days?
The pet classes, unless you count Death Knight, like in this tier. We didn't have to bust out F tier, which I thought we might, but like it was there. It
was there. Yeah, so don't feel too bad, Warriors.
Like the fact that Mage is down there, because listen, those are like the 2 most generic fantasy class fantasies. You know what I mean? It's like I'm a wizard. It's like Aragorn and Gandalf.
Wizard, Harry.
Aragorn and Gandalf are 2 of the most badass characters in Lord of the Rings, but like
that comes down to deeds and not the class.
Warrior, I do think is really metal, and I do think Mage is very cool. Like one of the things that I like Archmage Antonidas when I saw Warcraft 3, I always thought that was very cool. All of the arcane magic, like on the buildings in Warcraft 3, all the arcane stuff, I always thought was really cool. Like, but it just seems like I said, they're like a more bland version of this, like even these to some extent. Like a warrior is like mages, like they don't have all their utility.
Yeah,
went
they're like
over time. Their fucking CC went over time.
And I don't think Ice Mage's rotation has ever really changed throughout
I
the
will
entirety
to this
of,
day, dude. Shatter
still
combos
Icelands.
was. Yeah, but shatter combos were fun as shit, dude. Like it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was very fair. Like, and next time
we'll talk about making some adjustments, maybe.
Everyone's gonna hate it, so if you hate it, let us know.
We'll tell you why you're wrong.